He is here and alarmingly awake. With his speech entitled, Time to Do It Right, please help me welcome Konrad Kaletsch.
Thank you, Carol. So design matters to me a lot. I'm one of those people who's always on the prowl, looking for a better idea, a better design, something that makes our experience on this planet more enjoyable, more user-friendly. Today, I ask you to ponder with me a little journey into the impact that time has on design. Madam Toastmaster, SEC Rough Riders, and welcome guests. Long ago, time was measured by the sun, the moon, and the seasons. And that was the way we measured time for millions of years. Time in that period was big, it was expansive, it was sinuous, it was syrupy, and it was soft. And you could imagine in a time frame like that the opportunity for you to be present was a piece of cake. It was easy. But now, today, time is different. Time is money. And we got gadgets all over the place to remind us of that. So time, today, you'd say, runs the show. So how did this come about? Or what's the result? Well, time running the show means that our notions of time feel as real as the chairs you're sitting in. It means that we spend most of our day thinking about the past and the future, and hardly ever are we present. So indulge me as I go into the history about time, kind of bring you to how did we go from a time that was expansive to a time where the present virtually ceases to exist. So 4 million years, it's the sun, it's the moon, it's the seasons. 5,000 years ago, we got the first evidence of a time machine called a sundial. And the sundial, good for the day, not so good at night, good for measuring the middle of the day, the end's a little fuzzy, and finally the sundial was subject to latitude. You can't take one sundial from one latitude, move it to another, and have it work. 1500 BC, we got a water clock. This is a device, a bowl of water, a little hole at the bottom. You fill it up, the water trickles out, and now you've got time that's a chunk. But your chunk is different from my chunk. My bowl's bigger or smaller, has a bigger or smaller hole. Maybe your bowl is brand new and the hole is small and mine is old and worn. So we've got time measurable. We could actually use 10 chunks of time to measure the passing of an evening, but we don't have much agreement yet. In 200 AD, we get the hourglass. It's a perfection on the water clock, and it doesn't freeze. And then we leap forward to what is a real critical shift in how our consciousness conceives time. And that's in the late 13th century, we have a device called an escapement. And an escapement is the beginning of time being mechanized. We've moved from nature to mechanization in our measurement of time. An escapement is a controlled release of power. It takes something that is spinning and turns it into something that's going back and forth. Tick tock. That's when it begins. Monks at the time are thrilled. Their devotional work can now be regulated and they can pray to God twice as hard. But they wanted to do a little something more. They want ding-dong on their clock. So they rig up a bell, they put the thing up in a spire, and for the first time, we have people, a village of people who are getting the markations of a day simultaneously. Over the next 300 years, the clock advances. We get an hour hand, we get a minute hand, we get a second hand, but these are still highly inaccurate machines. They measure time with an accuracy of a few hours a day, requiring frequent the clock also moves from the town square into your house in the version of a grandfather clock and eventually into your pocket. But much of this still has novelty value. There's no agreement in the public because it's so inaccurate. So in 1657, we have another major breakthrough in the measurement of time. It's called a balance wheel. And what the balance wheel does is it brings us with an accuracy of 10 seconds per day. For the first time in history, we have agreement of universally what time is, what the measurement is, and that we all have the same thing. We can now all meet at 4 o'clock. No coincidence that mark brings the close to the age of the Renaissance and opens up the age of reason. So anyway, fast forward 300 years later, we got the atomic clock. We're now measuring to seconds in millions of years. And then in 2006, we have our finest increment of time yet measured. It's called an attosecond. 1/1000th of 1/1000th of a second. I don't even know what to do with that. I can't even think of that. It biologically makes no sense to me whatsoever. And in a time unit that we can actually measure that short, there's no present left. There's just past and future. So why is it so hard for all of us to be present? Well, there's no mystery. It's the way it is. Now, to pull this back to the influence on design, there was a time in history when we designed to get it right. We built pyramids. We took 100 years to put up a cathedral. It didn't matter. Now we build things to get it done on time. Now, as we go forward in design, if we continue to design with that same process, we should expect about the same result. And we're not going to have products and home environments that really reflect who we are and provide happiness and contentment. So in order to move forward in this new paradigm of design, we might want to turn off the clock. And we might begin to care again about the experience. And we might think about the result, not the time it takes. So I've woven this funny little package around time and kind of triggered a few thoughts for you, I hope. And I pulled it into the world of design. You get to pull it into any other part of your life that you'd like to do that with. But if you want to give a shot at being present a little more often, turn off those devices that are giving you nothing more than the past and the future. And remember this, you invented time. Thanks.